Are black people gonna ever be safe from white women tears?
No.
My enemy of progress is Michelle Bishop. She has gone viral because allegedly she racially profiled this guy who lives in her neighborhood.
Do you live here? Yeah. You do? Papa. I don't believe that.
What?
I don't believe that.
So what are you doing?
Rory, come on.
But you didn't say, this is my home. You just said, are you looking?
I did. When you was on the porch, you asked me, did I live here? I said, yeah. And you said, I don't think you do.
They only released the footage because she went onto her IG crying and saying, yeah.
Did I overreact? Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't know how it could be twisted that way when I literally thought he was a white man.
That she can't be racist because she thought he was white. Shut up.
You want to see the White Woman Tears playbook play out in real time? First things first, everything I'm about to say is totally my own opinion based on my own observations of publicly available information and court documents. A black woman named Bree invented this amazing magnetic hair clip. It is designed to be a low tension clip. It is designed specifically for locks. Another woman named Kirsten Owen allegedly copied her design, mimicked Bree's entire marketing, and when Bree saw this, she was like, hey, what the hell? Spoke up about it. What did Kirsten do? Did Kirsten take accountability? Absolutely no. She's a white woman, remember? We don't take accountability. We have a hard time with that. No, Kirsten started crying victim, saying that Bree is literally bullying her. Enter Keandria. If you guys don't know Keandria, she is a fucking incredible woman. She's a black activist. This woman right here. She saw all of this going down and she's like, hell no. And she spoke up. She went to Bree's defense. And then what happened? Kirsten is suing both of them. Within 6 days, before Bree or Keandria had ever even been served, a federal judge gave a gag order. Even a UCLA law professor flagged that order as constitutionally shaky. Here's something else. I'm talking about this with my 16-year-old. We're looking through Kirsten's shop and immediately, you know what my 16-year-old says? These all look like knockoffs. They all just look like 3D printed versions of other people's stuff. Allegedly, based on my observations, this is my opinion. But this is what modern colonization looks like, no? The invention is stolen. It's stolen from a black woman. The black woman then gets demonized, is getting demonized by a white woman. The white woman is weaponizing the legal system to silence her. And here's the thing, that court order might have gagged Bree and Keandria, but you know what? Kirsten, you cannot silence me. So I'm gonna say your name again. Kirsten Owen, I see what you're doing. We all see what you're doing.
What you just watched is a clip of something called the Turn It Off Challenge, the sound for which currently has 75,900 videos, and it's a prime example of the danger of white woman tears. One Twitter user wrote, "White women have historically used their tears and their false victimhood to accuse and vilify people of color, particularly those from the black community. This trend is showing the ability to falsify emotions and manipulate others. This has a dangerous history." The concept of white women victimizing themselves is not new. Many TikTok users commented on the case of Emmett Till. Till was a 14-year-old black child, pictured here, who was lynched in 1955 after he was accused of offending a white woman. Recently, many people saw this woman, Amy Cooper, call the police on a black man birdwatching in Central Park.
White women's tears are dangerous, and considering that it's Bobo's birthday coming up, I'll start with Emmett Till, who wasn't the first victim of white woman tears. But thanks to his mother, he is the most widely known by sharing his mutilated body with the world. This woman, Teresa, accused a young black boy, just like Bobo, of harassing her in a store. Luckily, there was video evidence showing that he did nothing. By the way, this is the girl that accused Bobo of harassing her. Her name is Caroline Bryant. She's still alive today, so feel free to beat her old ass if you see her. But historically, why are white women like this? It's because they are oppressed by their gender and privileged by their race, which means that they are privileged without power. White women slave owners had no powers, and they had to watch their husband control the world and make little black babies. They took their power out on the less powerless slaves. But then slaves began to get their own power, being desegregated, being equalized. 60 seconds is not enough time to fit everything in, but look at this. I would be so embarrassed to have them as ancestors.
So there was a really interesting video made by White Woman Whisperer. I tried to stitch it and the audio didn't record, so I'm going to try to record it again here. tag her below because you should go watch her video. But she basically poses the question, or opens up this discussion, this bear versus man discussion, to Black women in asking, okay, if you're in an office, who would you rather walk in, a white man or a white woman? And she said that the collective answer would be a white man. And a lot of women are getting offended. A lot of white women are getting offended because they're like, oh my gosh, what a man could do to you is so much worse than a woman. Like, this is divisive. But like, you're not getting it. The reason why Black women would choose a white man over a white woman is for the same reason that women as a collective, especially white women, would choose the bear over the man. It is the danger you know versus the danger you don't. And like, historically, the under the surface racism that white women have for Black women has caused death and destruction and is absolutely a humongous danger. Because Black women know, like, in our society, that a white woman's accounting of things will always be taken more seriously than a Black woman's. So she has to have like a distance because of personal safety. Now, I've seen this play out in my real life. I live in the South. I go to a lot of like influencer functions with like large groups of people, and I can see the difference between women of color who know me and women of color who don't, and how they interact with me and like the guard that they have up. And that's not offensive to me because it's common sense. I absolutely expect them to be apprehensive of a white woman in the South because they don't know what they're getting. But just as the whole point of the bear versus man conversation is to make men understand that women are innately apprehensive and cautious around all men, the question that White Woman Whisperer was posing is to make white women understand the cautiousness that Black women have around white women. That sort of like being scared of me before I give them a reason not to is not offensive to me, because it is absolutely my responsibility to prove to these women that I am a safe person, not the other way around. You cannot like bully someone into trusting you with their personal safety. And that's a lesson for the men on the bear conversation too.
White women are privileged, but they do not have the power that comes with it. That is only reserved for white men. I think that is what makes some white women, the bad white women, very bitter and have this heart where they continuously cry, and they can turn on and off the white women tears. They can cry whenever they need to cry, and they have been practicing this because they know that the community, the world, the country will view them as the damsel in distress. And this is why, as we learn about history, we come to find that white women tears are the most dangerous things, because those women, because of those tears, they were able to lynch, they were able to kill, they were able to cause so much harm to Black women and Black men. We know all the stories. We know about so many stories of white women crying for the sake of crying. They literally see a Black man or a Black woman, and they'll just decide, because either they're having a bad day or they want to exercise their ability to cry. They just want to do it because maybe they've never tried it, or the first time they did it, it was kind of fun, so they want to do it again. And this is why Black women and Black men do not trust white women. Well, let me speak about Black women, because we all know that there are also, Black men who marry and get relationships on that other side, but there are specific ones who do not quite trust white women, because we all know that white women are not trustworthy, and they have, because of those tears, they have caused so much damage and so much pain and suffering to Black women. Either Black women looked way better than they did that day, they chose to cry and say that that woman looks or did this to me. If they saw that a Black man maybe did, just for they were just killing Black people for fun, for the sake of it. They did not have a reason. They didn't need a reason. And that is so dangerous, because it still works right now. And that is modern colonization, where you can cry and use your privilege to still oppress a certain group of people. But before I give my full commentary, let's dive in and listen to what the other white people have to say, the ones who actually acknowledge that they are dangerous and their tears are very dangerous, and then we'll come back and talk about it. See you shortly. And also, if you haven't subscribed, kindly consider subscribing. Okay, let's continue.
Let me tell you a story. When I was an undergrad in college, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and the hall manager came out and said, "Hey, the dorm is going on lockdown. Some white girl at the union had gotten her iPod stolen." I asked if there was a description of the person, and they said that she described him as a Black man somewhere between 5'9" and 6'5", wearing t-shirt and jeans with short black hair. I knew she was lying immediately. And I was proven right the next day. She threw her own iPod in the lake so that she could get her mommy and daddy to buy her a new one. But she was willing to ruin someone's entire life or potentially get them killed just so she could get a new iPod. And that, as well as this trend, just proves why Emmett Till is dead. White women weaponizing their fake fucking tears. Because it's so powerful and they know it is. That display of exploiting their privilege is so repulsive.
This white woman tears trend that has been going around on TikTok recently is like really gross. So it is apparently a trend on TikTok at the moment for particularly white women to film videos of themselves pretending to cry, and then when the beat drops they suddenly show that they were just faking the entire time. And there have been many POC creators on this app that have already outlined the issues inherent with that, and how white women's fragility and victimhood has historically been used to target particularly black men. But the thing is, white women participate in trends like these and then turn around and wonder why people of color don't trust us, and wonder why people of color have so many criticisms about feminism and white feminism in particular. This is exactly why. Because we participate in trends like this showing no understanding of the context of our actions and their consequences. Historically, white women have always pushed people of color aside in our activism in order to further our own interests at their expense. We have not shown ourselves to be worthy of trust, and this is just another example of that.
White women crying when they receive any sort of criticism from women of color is fucking racist. Because white women will sit there and use their tears as weapons against women of color to absolve themselves from any sort of guilt, but also to silence women of color. And this white damsel in distress narrative is not only racist, but it is also lethal. White women tears only helps uphold white supremacy.
You have a chapter in the book about white women's tears, and I think that even reading the name of that chapter might cause some white fragility in some readers. Can you talk a little bit about where that term came from and why you chose to write about it?
Well, I can't claim credit for the term, and I think people of color and women of color have been writing about that for a long time. But I think about that in two different kind of contexts in which white women's tears erupt. And this doesn't mean that white men don't have their version of tears, but it's not usually literal crying, right? So when a white woman cries, conscious or not, we've been socialized to kind of gravitate to her distress and to take care of her. And I should be really more explicit. White middle-class women, right? That kind of Southern belle, that delicate flower, right? There's a history behind that. And conscious or not, it triggers that pull for other people to comfort her. So suddenly, all the resource in the room has gone to the aggressor, if you will, if the context is she's been given feedback that something she said or done is problematic. She bursts into tears, and then suddenly the room comes to her to comfort her, and the person who gave her the feedback, particularly if it's a person of color, is now the aggressor. And they're left with, the impact, and then she's going to get coddling around her intentions. Emotions are political. When she cries, that drives the group's behavior in a way that then impacts others in the way that I've talked about. There's also a history behind a kind of terror, quite frankly, again for African Americans in particular, and I'm going to assume your listeners know the Emmett Till story. A white woman claimed to be distressed about a young black boy flirting with her, and he was brutally murdered. Everyone ran to her comfort in that. On her deathbed, she recently passed, she admitted that she had lied about what happened. But black people don't forget that history, right? And it's kept alive in lots of different ways. I mean, a white person might think, oh, well, that was a long time ago, but that's part of the psychic burden that we don't carry. A white person has heard the testimony of a person of color, right? Or they've watched something on the TV, somebody's been beaten, right, on TV, or shot in the back, unarmed black man, and a white woman cries. I think it's complex, right? Because I think on the one hand, people of color are probably wondering, where is our grief? Like, what does it take to move us? Like, why is that what it takes to move us, right? When this is going on all the time, it's always been going on, right? I think the only thing that's new is we can film these things.
There's been a great conversation on here that I've been following about white women tears, and I keep seeing white autistic females coming in and saying, oh, like, I don't do that because I'm autistic. And let's have a conversation. I know that we're all like very literal thinkers, but white women tears goes way beyond like someone purposely crying to like get their way in a situation. It's about how everyone in society, especially men, are conditioned to react and respond to white women's feelings. Feelings can mean anything, it's not just crying. And I would argue, as white autistic women, we are more dangerous in these situations. From analyzing myself and my own behavior, I can think of like 2 main reasons why we are more dangerous. The first one being that autistics just struggle to read situations, and I myself often don't understand like power dynamics or like undertones of situations, and just by agreeing with someone or reacting in any sort of way can set a whole situation off that you didn't understand was happening. And the second one being that autistic people struggle to regulate their facial expressions and their emotions. And having your emotions on display in public creates a situation that could potentially be dangerous for someone else. And you might be sitting here saying, well, like, those are things out of my control. Like, I'm autistic. And to that, I say that's just not a valid excuse. Like, I'm sorry. Because there are so many autistic people of color that are forced to mask those expressions and figure out situations for their own safety. Therefore, you should be putting in as much effort as possible to also be doing that to keep them safe. After I had this whole like little thought process that I had based off of this conversation, and I'll tag videos down below of like people talking about this, but once I got to this place of like understanding like my presence and like the whole dynamic, I was like, okay, so how do I make sure that I'm not creating situations or like adding flame to the fire in situations? And I thought for my second point of how like we can't control our expressions or our emotions sometimes, and an easy solution to that is to just leave the situation, remove yourself, therefore you are not creating a situation. But for my first point of not understanding situations and accidentally like adding flame to the fire, that's where I want to like open this up, because I'm struggling to figure out how to go about that. I know that I have really good pattern recognition, and that if I understand more, that I will be able to say, oh, that's a pattern, oh, I see what's happening, but I don't know every single pattern. What I've kind of like decided on doing is that to understand like patterns and stuff, to just make sure that I am actively listening and paying attention to every conversation and all people of color and their experiences, so that I can categorize that in my brain as like, okay, their experience, I need to log that as a pattern. I think that's it. Sorry, I just really wanted to like show my thought process, and that ended up making like a 3-minute long video. I felt like this was an important conversation to like weigh in on. Please let me know if like I shouldn't have like weighed in, or just like please correct me if I said anything incorrectly. I really just want to like show my thought process.
Why do white women start crying when you hold them accountable? Simple. Because it works. Because society has taught them that they are delicate and they are dainty, and that they deserve more protection than anybody else on the face of the earth. And so when you hold them accountable, when you have the audacity to tell them that they have done something wrong, that they have offended you, that anything that they have done is anything other than worthy of ass kissing, they will ring the bell of danger to alert everyone in the surrounding area that they are being attacked. And what do people do when they start crying? Oh, they start scurrying around, asking questions, and in a very accusatory tone towards the non-crying, non-white woman, all in an effort to protect and defend this helpless, dainty, delicate little flower. And she knows it works. And so because she knows it works, she does it. That's why every 13 days we have a new white woman on the internet with a face full of crocodile tears, crying about a situation or a circumstance that she has not found herself in, that she has created for herself due to her own negative behavior.
I think now's a good time to mention that any money I make off of these stupid fucking videos with my tear stick making fun of white women will be donated to black people or black organizations, because if there's anyone that should be profiting off of white women tears, it's definitely not another white bitch. It actually kind of takes a long time to see what videos made money-wise, and I'm kind of new to it because I wasn't making money on this bitch before, but I will of course submit proof of what I made off of those videos and what I donated, because I think that's important. Because as funny as it is to make fun of white people, which go to town, you know what I'm saying?
have your fun. In my case, as a white woman, it doesn't help anything just for me to make fun of them. So I want to make sure that I'm also making a positive impact and that it's not just talking shit for shit's sake, which if you're a person of color, that is your game to play. Not white bitch game to play. You know what I mean?
Modern colonization works where a black woman will invent something and then it will be robbed by a white woman. When a black woman does something for the first time, it is considered ghetto or loud or weird or not on trend. There are so many words that are thrown to black women when they invent something. You know, if a black woman wants to wear a durag and, you know, look all good and cute, that is ghetto. But when a white woman, because we have seen the Jenners do so many things and copy so many things from the black people, and right now we are seeing, you know, these same people trying to come back after the era of stealing black women's things has ended. They are trying to come back and, you know, try to steal back all these things that they had stolen before. And it's sad to see, because black women, every time they've done something, they have created something. Like we have seen the story of the lady who created a hair clip that was very beautiful, very unique. A white woman literally copied the same thing. And now she, because of her privilege, she went on to cry, and then she used her tears to take this, to take the original owner of the product that she's copying. She served that woman papers. Like, I'm suing you because I guess you're bullying me. I think she said the black woman was bullying her. What? In 2025? Are we serious? Are we being serious? And even a judge, a white judge, I'm assuming, obviously, passed it. And he was like, yes, I agree. I do agree she's bullying you. So yeah, she should. The gag order is confirmed. We should do this. Like, what are we doing? We literally got to a point where we ended this colonization thing. We did not completely end it, obviously. I'm not saying that colonization is now done, because there are white people who are still doing certain things that are bad to minority groups. We do know that. There are so many white people who are still in African countries, who are still in their own countries, you know, still suppressing black people. We do know that. But it has been changed in a way that it happens and people are still blind to see it. It happens in a way that, and white women have actually gotten, they are very smart, because they have gotten to understand how they can trigger something without actually triggering it. You know, like I can cry and say that I didn't understand something. For example, I'll give you an example. Like right now, I sat down, I set up my camera and I started speaking. That's why I'm speaking to you right now. A white woman will do the same. She will come, set up her camera, you know, turn on her light to be seen well, do her makeup and whatever, you know, pamper herself up, then come on here, make fun of black people, say something borderline racist, and then after they're done, when black women, black men, people from the black community tell her that whatever you said was not right, that was very wrong. Like, for example, the white woman who made fun of the black teacher who was singing the song of "These Are My Private Parts" to the kids. You know, she took a very nappy wig, a bad wig, she wore this ugly clothes and then started, you know, dancing in a bad way, you know, just showing this ghetto behavior, like you're being too loud, you're being too rowdy. Then came on to the camera and started crying, saying that she didn't mean it to be taken as such. It wasn't a racist thing. What do you mean it wasn't a racist thing? What do you mean? Why couldn't you have done the same thing, but without the bad wig, without having to do much expressions? And still, there are people in the comment sections who are like, yes, of course, we understand it. Even black people are like laughing, because to some extent, it is done in a way that you cannot quite see that these people are actually playing with your mind. That this person is actually using her ability, her privilege. She knows her power. So she is using her power to make sure that whatever she does will always be forgiven. And that same woman has continued and had done so many things that are controversial, obviously, to the black community, saying all kinds of things and coming back crying and saying, oh, I didn't mean it, I didn't mean it, I didn't mean it. And we have seen so many white women. We have seen the challenge on TikTok. If you haven't, you can go search White Women Tears, you know, the challenge, where white women start crying and then they stop it. They can literally turn it on and off. They are currents in the making. You know, because it's fun, it's exciting, where you can get another person in danger just because you cried, just because tears fell down from your eyes. You can put someone else in jail. You can make sure that person goes to jail for a long, long time. And it's just so saddening. It's crazy to me that in 2025 we are still doing certain things. And white women, they should understand that when black women do not want to be around you, it's because you haven't given them an option of them to trust you. You have not shown them that they can trust you. So why should they trust you? Considering that most of your history is about you posing the greatest danger to black women. Why should they then come around and start following you around, or probably laughing with you and saying, oh yeah, we're besties, let's go to the club, let's have fun, let's drink together? How do they know that your intentions are good? When most of your history, most of your past has been, anytime that you have had power over a black person, you have made sure to use it in a bad way. You have made sure to use it in a way that does not benefit that black woman. And we have had this discussion, obviously, in the videos that I have shown you, where black women actually chose to enter a boardroom where there are white men, opposed to having white women. And white women, you know, they were offended. They're like, you don't even know what this white man can do to you. You know, it's all about feminism, and like, you don't know the kind of danger they pose. Like, why wouldn't you choose someone who even understands some of the issues that you have? You know, a woman that can understand, you know, woman to woman issues and woman to woman difficulties and things like that. And you don't understand that that's not the problem, because if it is about feminism, let's say it's about feminism. Let's say, yes, of course, it's about feminism. Why, when you had the power to, you know, empower black women when they were slaves, you had the power to do it. You did. You were more powerful. You had the privilege, obviously, without the power that white men had. But you did have some kind of power, because you posed a great danger, meaning you could have also posed a great place for comfort and peace. You didn't do that. Was that about feminism? Because in the modern day, you're talking about feminism. Like, black women should support you and come to you and want to have you in the boardroom when you did what you did when you had the power over them. So why is the topic now changing? Why is it different? It's literally the same thing. And now black women have the choice, because they have the power. They have the power to choose either you or your white men. They have the power to choose either. And now you're getting offended. And you know what your ancestors did. Why are you getting offended? It is something that you did. Huh? And it is so sad, because these white women are portrayed, they are portrayed as, you know, dainty and helpless. And that's why with the slightest provocation, they can either cry or not cry. And then once you criticize their behavior, they become super guarded. They're like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't it. You read it all wrong. Why would you say that I will say such a thing? Like the lady who was crying after she said that the black man, she literally got out with the kids, meaning she's even teaching her kids to be racist. She got out with her kids at night. A white woman is coming out of the house at night. And you're telling me you're okay. White woman, are you okay? God. Okay. She came out with her kids at night, started yelling at a black man in his own home, saying, you don't look like you belong here. And then after she was called out on social media, she's like, I didn't even know he was a black man. I thought he was a white man. So you guys should stop making it about race. Okay, lady. And white women tears uphold supremacy. They uphold white supremacy, and this whole damsel in distress notion needs to stop. Black women cry too. Black women also cry. Why don't we take black women tears seriously? Why don't we take black women's tears? And aren't they women? They're women too, right? Why don't we take black women's tears seriously, as serious as white women's tears are taken? Why? And after all these dangers that white women tears has posed, because they know that it triggers violence and it triggers some kind of action in white men, why is that power not yet taken from them? Because white people know that it still upholds their white supremacy. And that's why when the slaves started having power and started having their own voice, white women were the ones who were actually marching on the streets, because the only power they had were over the slaves, because they don't have power over their own kids, their own parents, and their partners. They didn't have that. So they only had power over these slaves, and now these slaves were being taken away from them. So they really, really fought so hard to make sure that these slaves remain in the same position. Anyway, learn your history. And white women, do better, be better, because you're continuing to spread and to make your kids carry things that do not even relate to them. You're making your kids carry around your pain and your anger and your resentment towards a people who do not even think about you. People who literally do not even pose a danger on you. Your partners pose a bigger danger to you. People of your own community pose a bigger danger to you. Leave black people alone. Leave black women alone. Leave them alone. They do not talk about you. They do not think about you. Why are you all over their business, Anyway, that is all for today. If you did learn something, if you enjoyed the watch, kindly consider subscribing, sharing, and liking. Share to your friends and family so that we can continue to grow and to learn together. And comment, what do you think about this particular topic? I'd like to interact with you in the comment section below. And if you'd like to support me in another way, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description. I will truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.